Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're journeying back to a pivotal moment in African history, a story of hope, power, and betrayal that unfolded on the vibrant streets of Accra. This is the story of the fall of Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first president and a giant of the Pan-African movement. Imagine this. It's February 24th, 1966. Ghana, the first sub-Saharan African nation to gain independence, is a beacon of hope for a continent shaking off the chains of colonialism. Its leader, Kwame Nkrumah, is not just a president, he's a symbol, a visionary who dreams of a united and prosperous Africa. At this very moment, he is on a diplomatic mission to Hanoi, attempting to broker peace in the Vietnam War. But back home, the ground is shifting beneath his feet. In the pre-dawn darkness of Accra, a military operation, codenamed Operation Cold Chop, is underway. Soldiers, led by Colonel Emmanuel Kotoka and Major Akwasi Afrifa, seize control of key installations: the airport, radio stations, and the presidential residence, Flagstaff House. By 6 a.m., Colonel Kotoka is on the radio, announcing to a stunned nation and a watching world that the military has taken control. He declares that the myth surrounding Kwame Nkrumah has been broken. But how did it come to this? How did the man hailed as the Osagefo, the Redeemer, become an exile overnight? The reasons are complex, a tangled web of internal policies and external pressures. Let's rewind. Upon independence in 1957, Nkrumah embarked on an ambitious mission to modernize Ghana. He poured resources into building infrastructure, the Akosombo Dam to power the nation, the Tema Motorway, new schools, and hospitals. He championed free education and healthcare, aiming to uplift every citizen. His vision was grand and his intentions in many ways were noble. He wanted to leapfrog Ghana from a colonial backwater into an industrial powerhouse. However, these grand projects were incredibly expensive. Ghana's economy was heavily dependent on a single commodity, cocoa. When global cocoa prices plummeted in the mid-1960s, Nkrumah's government found itself in a severe financial crisis. The treasury was draining fast, and foreign debt was piling up. To fund his projects, Nkrumah's government raised taxes and introduced austerity measures, which hit ordinary Ghanaians hard. The price of everyday goods soared, and shortages became common. The initial euphoria of independence began to fade, replaced by economic hardship and growing discontent. Simultaneously, Nkrumah's political style was shifting. Faced with assassination attempts and what he perceived as threats to his national project, he grew increasingly authoritarian. In 1964, he declared Ghana a one-party state and made himself president for life. The Preventive Detention Act allowed him to imprison political opponents without trial. The press was censored, and a cult of personality grew around him. His statue stood outside Parliament with the inscription, "Seek ye first the political kingdom, and all other things shall be added unto you." For many, this concentration of power was a betrayal of the democratic ideals they had fought for. The liberator, in their eyes, was becoming a dictator. The very people who had once chanted his name in celebration began to whisper their frustrations in secret. This internal turmoil didn't happen in a vacuum. The world was in the firm grip of the Cold War, and Africa was a key battleground for influence between the United States and the Soviet Union. Nkrumah was a vocal critic of neo-colonialism and a proponent of non-alignment, but his socialist leanings and close ties with the Eastern Bloc made Western powers deeply suspicious. He openly accused Western nations, particularly the United States, of trying to undermine African independence through economic exploitation and political interference. His book, Neo-Colonialism, The Last Stage of Imperialism, published in 1965, explicitly named American companies and intelligence agencies. This was a direct challenge, and it did not go unnoticed. Declassified documents and historical accounts strongly suggest that Western intelligence agencies, including the CIA, were actively involved in encouraging and supporting the anti-Nkrumah elements within Ghana. They saw him as a dangerous radical who could pull the entire region into the Soviet orbit. From the balconies of their embassies in Accra, foreign diplomats watched the growing unrest, fully aware of the plot that was unfolding. The internal discontent provided the perfect opportunity for external forces to help topple a leader they considered a threat. So, when the tanks rolled through Accra on that February morning, it wasn't just a military coup. It was the culmination of economic failure, political repression, and international intrigue. The crowds that poured into the streets reflected this complexity. Some were genuinely celebrating the end of what they saw as tyranny and economic misery. They tore down Nkrumah's statues and burned his portraits, venting years of frustration. Others watched in fear and confusion, their dreams of a strong, independent Ghana crumbling before their eyes. For Kwame Nkrumah, the news reached him in Beijing. He was a president without a country. He would never set foot in Ghana again. He spent the rest of his life in exile in Guinea, continuing to write and advocate for his Pan-African dream until his death in 1972. The fall of Kwame Nkrumah is a powerful and cautionary tale. It's a story about the immense challenges of nation building, the delicate balance between progress and freedom, and the long shadow of global power politics. It reminds us that history is rarely black and white, but a complex tapestry woven from many threads. Nkrumah's legacy remains debated in Ghana and across Africa to this day. Was he a visionary hero brought down by foreign powers, or a flawed leader who lost touch with his people? Perhaps the truth, as it often is, lies somewhere in between. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical deep dive. What are your thoughts on Kwame Nkrumah and the events of 1966? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more stories from our shared global history. Until next time, stay curious.